not the same, but that's okay though. Vito.
Yeah, been cool. We are not the same.
No, we not.
I'm on a different plane.
Altitude.
A place that's far away
Far away.
from all you other lanes.
Y'all just saying.
We are not the same.
No, we not.
I'm on a different plane.
Altitude.
A place that's far away
Far away.
from all you other lanes.
Vito the Don.
AV the Swan, AV the Realist,
Vito the Illest.
and we are
ABV,
Straight No Chaser, a real show
About real stuff.
for real folks.
Hey,
I'm so proud of you.
we're getting good
Godly
at this.
proud. I'm godly proud.
Yeah. May the Lord bless you and keep you
Yeah, amen.
on the highways and byways of life.
Hey friends, episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4. We are back. Hopefully you are feeling good today.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a beautiful day.
Beautiful day. Well, you don't know. Some people
Here?
might. Yeah, it's a beautiful day here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a great day.
Yeah.
And Columbus weather be, malfunctioning.
Yeah. I'm very excited about that. Every time I'm in Columbus, it's always raining. Not today.
Man.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful day. We got a topic for y'all, man. I know most of you all who have football fans in your home, you may have a placemat outside that says House Divided.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a person's a Cowboys fan, a Giants fan. Maybe somebody's the Ohio State University fan, and someone's a fan of the team up north, right? Like, it
The team.
depends. Yeah, you gotta be careful. They really be set tripping on Ohio State football. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. Listen, quick story. I have a thermos,
Okay.
right? I'm big time coffee drinker. I got a thermos. I put tea in it sometime, right? So I got a thermos. My thermos is maize and blue. I bought it because I like this brand at Target. Man, it's like a yellow, right? So they're like corn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Caught up.
Yeah, so glad you caught up. But anyway, I bought it because I like the color scheme. I did not even think about it being the colors of the school up north, right? Do you know, I was at a work retreat and they was having a fit. They was like, I didn't know you was a Michigan fan. I didn't know you liked Michigan. I was like, I don't like Michigan. I tolerate the Ohio State because I live here. I'm from Texas. I love the Longhorns and the Cowboys and the Mavericks. And shout out to the World Series champion Texas Rangers. But man, they take it's serious.
Yeah.
Like, you saw Mike nodded his head. Like, bro, you know the crazy part about it to me is that some of the most serious fans, you be like, man,
Yeah.
where did you go to Ohio State? They be like, I didn't go to Ohio State.
I wish I was that invested. I'm inherited Cowboys fan.
Well, that makes
That's
sense.
all I got.
That makes sense.
That's all I got.
That makes a lot of sense. Like a lot of sense.
I'm staying beside them.
There you go.
That's all I got.
The Dallas Cowboys is the most toxic relationship I'm in right now, but to each his own. But a house divided. We are talking about a relationship where views, where religion, where
Parenting.
ideology,
styles.
parenting
Yeah.
is different.
Yeah.
I'ma just be transparent with y'all, and I'ma be honest. I've been in relationships with women who've had fundamentally different religious views than me. I've been in relationships with women who, wasn't really believers, and they were into crystals and astrology. And, and there were some positives to the relationship, but the bad was very, very bad. I just think it makes the bond easier when you're on the same page. So I say for me, nah.
Yeah. So our overall question is, how do you maneuver a romantic relationship, especially if you are dating to marry? How do you maneuver a romantic relationship where things are opposing, your opinions are opposing, especially if there's talk about marriage, family, all these things? How can you, or is it possible to compromise?
Is the fundamental thing that brought you all together enough to make both people open-minded? I think that's the key, because I honestly believe it can work. Like, I think two people can come from two different parts of the spectrum of belief systems, and those things can create a synergy to where they're on the same page, right? You see it all the time. I've seen a number of men and women who, weren't Christians or, didn't have the same fundamental belief, and then married somebody and was open-minded to the idea. But I think the question is there whatever fundamentally brought y'all together, is that enough for the person to be open-minded to change?
I think it's you have to be careful about, be honest, maybe should I say, about how rooted and how strong your foundation is as an individual. Because when you are joining a relationship and now you are in this thing and you're investing and you're making it grow, like, y'all start to rub off on each other. Habits and opinions and just ways of living, things like that start to rub off on each other. So somebody got to pull, somebody got to push, and if that overall direction is not the direction that you would want you both to go in or your family to go in, like at this point we got to have conversations, like some choices got to be made. But if you are a chameleon in that way, and I'm not saying don't be open-minded, I'm not that doesn't get anybody anywhere, but don't waver. Like, are you not rooted? I think there's a difference between being open-minded and being willing to maneuver different things and then not really knowing where you stand, because at that point you just gonna go anyway the wind blows. And I've been in situations, I've been in relationships where first of all, born and raised, always been in the church every Sunday, always been active in ministry. I believe God. I don't believe in God, I believe God. So like, these are my stances, and I've been in relationships where it's like, church, or I don't have to show up, and God knows I love him even if I'm not there. Or, and it's going back to a conversation I believe that we were having, it might have been deep actually, but a lot of people develop a concept about God and who God is by way of their experiences with church versus separating those. So it's a lot of people that really feel ways about people and structures and concepts, businesses, and not God.
But see, it's interesting you say that too, because also your devotion to God being different than your partner can have the same impact of you having two different spiritual beliefs too.
Yeah.
Because I know, even for me, right, like my relationship with the church is different than, someone who is, just, attends regularly, engaged in ministry. Like, it's different. This is like literally my livelihood, right? And so I remember when me and Antoinette first got married, that was a huge issue, because I was at an older church, and, night service really wasn't it wasn't like a big deal. Like, if they went, they went. It's like, depending on how you feel, I think we're gonna stay home. Whereas for me, being the assistant minister, a lot of times I had to preach night service, you feel me? So I was there, and you already know, like, being in this role, if your spouse isn't there consistently, it looks bad, right? So that was like, I would say, like, some of our biggest discussions or spirited debates came from that. But back to the original thing too, I also believe that your open-mindedness cannot be dependent upon codependence, because a lot of people change to make other people happy, and that's short-lived.
Yeah.
So I've seen marriages last when two people have different beliefs, like, you know, like I knew brothers that were very engaged in the churches that I've been in, and maybe their wives went to, you know, another church, like a Baptist church or, you know, things of that nature. But I think when it's like fundamentally different morally, I think that's challenging.
Yeah, I don't see how
that works.
I mean, and to each their own. But, you know, even when we're talking about things that one would find attractive, how I guess it just depends on that version of yourself. But it's a checklist of things to consider for me to find some type of depth, like beyond physicality. You know what I'm saying? What are we gonna talk about?
Well, love can be blinding sometimes. So, like, if you really feel like you in a good relationship with somebody and y'all like really connect.
So how do we even get to the relationship? How do we get that far? And we don't morally agree. Like that's unattractive. That's a turn off.
But if your love exists in a vacuum and y'all love each other's company, that's different, right? Like if when we hang out and you come over and, you know, like we just really rock, like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like I remember a young lady that I had like the biggest crush on her, and we chopped it up, we talked, like it was cool. I love spending time with her, and, you know, I mean, she was a Muslim girl.
Okay.
And we knew that it would never work, but man, like our conversations would be great.
Y'all knew that it would never work though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I can see how people like take that step. I mean, look at it like a story like what's a story? Like Romeo and Juliet, like, you know what I'm saying? Or the Hatfields and the McCoys, am I saying that right? But there's all sorts of, or like that one movie with Bokeem Woodbine, right? He was in love with the white girl and he ended up killing her. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of tragic. But what I'm saying is people can get lost in the quality time of one another.
That's fair.
And so in a vacuum, it's perfect. But in the real world, it's traumatic. You know what I'm saying? So then they isolate within themselves and they build this insulation within themselves.
I've seen some successful stories too. I've seen, you know, relationships that there's always going to be, at least at some point in the relationship, there's going to be one who is more rooted. I'm having a stroke, y'all. I can't. Forgive me. There's always going to be. Because what the hell am I saying? There's always one that will be the anchor. At some point, there will be one that is stronger than the other or more disciplined. I've been struggling. The last episode too, stumbling up my words. I ain't ate today. So there's that. Nevertheless, what I'm trying to say is that I have seen instances where
You got people out here thinking I'm starving you.
It's 3 p.m. I ain't ate nothing.
I done locked you in the garage.
I ain't had no Starbucks. I've had no nothing.
We're fasting.
Nah.
Fundamental beliefs.
Nah. Not this time. Not this month.
We filled with the word of God.
What am I trying to say?
Honestly, if I knew, I would tell you, but I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, I have an idea.
Oh, okay. What I'm trying to say is there have been successful stories where the stronger of the two has done enough just living and being authentic, so much so that basically they're the Bible that the other person is reading. And it turns into, okay, now I'm thinking it's worth my own investment, worth my own research, you know, whatever the differences may be, that leads to the other person making that conscious decision for themselves, whatever the decision is. In this particular case, I'm talking about, you know, furthering a relationship with God, or, you know, choosing to be saved and being active in ministry and all those things. There are about 3 of them, but still, successful stories where things have worked out.
I think in some regard, you know, eventually, I think
it took so much to get out.
I get it, but in some regard, I mean, everything can be successful in its own right. There's something that can be, you know, there's always some sort of, but we got to be careful with that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like almost like a person that drops out of high school and says, well, Jay-Z didn't go to high school.
yeah.
There's a reason why there's only one Jay-Z, bro.
Yeah.
You feel me? I think when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, we have to be careful. You gotta be really careful because there are instances, I know a number of instances where children have come out of these relationships.
That's
Right?
so tough.
So that's another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And I can speak to that experience even from my own life because my mom was very devoted, very engaged, sacrificially engaged to the church, right? And we got that when we were, kids. But my dad's crib wasn't like that. Like if it was Easter and we were in Abilene and, we would go to church with my grandparents, cool. But my dad, even now, my dad ain't going to church. Like, but he still instilled principles. There are Christian principles that came from his tutelage. So the idea of being an integral man or working hard or things of that nature, those came out of that, but it was very difficult, as a child growing up, like, okay, my dad got us every other weekend. All right, mom has us, we're at church all day, right? We're at dad's, we ain't going to church.
See, it's even that would bother me because regardless of who we are as individuals, we are parents to these children.
Right.
And that means we need to be on the same page. We can still be who we are individually, but if we are agreeing about what needs to be instilled in our children, then we need to, we need that front, and it needs to be consistent. Whether you're at my house or whether you're at your daddy's house, you need to be at church. But if we're not having those conversations, no harm, no foul.
Well, I also believe you gotta feel like where the peace is. Like, valuing what that relationship is like.
Yeah.
Because my mom obviously wanted us to have a relationship with my dad. But here's the thing. I think it's one thing to be open-minded, but it's another thing to be restrictive. So if we had a church event and we told our dad, like, hey, Dad, we really want to go to this event or we really want to be at church today, he would bring us. It wasn't no thing.
Gotcha,
you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like a situation where, no, there, my house ain't going to church. Like, that wasn't the issue.
I think that's probably the easiest. I think the most beneficial you could do. I'm tired of talking today. The most beneficial thing you can do for your children is be on the same page as parents.
Amen.
Specifically about things that things that are developmental, character building. I just because children don't know anything but what they experience, and all they're gonna be able to recall is what they did or didn't do, and whether or not it was consistent. So routine, you know what I'm saying? Because even as adults, what we do is we recall. I used to all the time. My mama would, you know what I'm saying? If there wasn't a consistency there.
Well, yeah, there's a child in you. I think there's a child in everybody.
Yeah.
And I even know for me, it's like it really comes about as it pertains to my ability to how I raise my children, right? And that's I think even in my position, I have to be mindful of the fact that my kids are under a larger microscope than everybody else's.
God.
So there's things that I have to teach them about life.
Yeah.
That they don't look at the church from a resentful place, right? Like, so that's why I'm very, 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 very adamant about putting my family first.
As you should.
So I might miss a meeting. I miss a meeting quick. I missed a meeting last night. I ain't gonna hold you. I had to. And the reason why I missed it was because at some point I just can't be at everything. And there are so many kids that I think love Jesus but resent the fact that they were second place to the church. But I think the whole idea from a relationship perspective of like submission in a relationship
because
I don't think you can.
You can't because like as far as authority, when we're talking about a Christian household and we're talking about one that hears from God, as a man or as a woman or whomever, the head of the household is supposed to be, if you don't have, there's a disconnect between Like you and the source. So who has the authority at that point? Like
Especially
am
if
I
that's
even
the construct.
required? Right.
If
Am I
that's-
even required at that point to, like, that's, I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean,
To lead my family?
right. And I think that's why a lot of marriages, they end. You know, I think fundamental beliefs have a lot to do with the fact that, like, you know, marriages may not work when those core values aren't the same.
You don't have a source. You're not tapped into nothing.
Right.
How are you going to lead me as your spouse and we lead our family? You're not connected. We're just out here. We're roaming.
And I think that's a conversation too you have to have. I think it's irresponsible to get married without
Yeah.
talking
Please
about
have
what
these
that looks
conversations
like.
before you get married.
Yeah.
Please.
Because a house divided, it builds resentment. It builds.
You done wasted money. You
Right.
done made all these people go to a wedding
Right.
and y'all about to get divorced. Please have these conversations. Please.
And they're tough conversations because what it does is it takes the rose-colored glasses view from, because you know how it is, man. When you love somebody, man, they can't do nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
they can
bro.
clip their toenails in front of you and you be all right. They can use the bathroom with the door open. When you love somebody, you see them you look at them in a
Yeah.
different light. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you can be in what you believe to be in love with someone until those conversations come up. Because when those conversations come up, it's a different animal. It's a different monster. You gotta talk. And the crazy thing about it is that you gotta talk about, like in marriage, and I learned this from one of my mentors, in a marriage, you gotta talk about even the minuscule things.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I ain't got no problem cleaning the bathroom. It's cool. I'll clean the bathroom. It is what it is. But like, if you a person that don't like cleaning the bathroom, but you doing it because it just needs to be done, eventually that stuff builds up.
Yeah.
So you got to even have conversations about the
Every
simple
little thing
things.
matters, yeah.
Everything matters. So,
I think in those conversations, to the last point, is what builds confidence because we talked about it. We've discussed this together. We've briefed. Is it briefed or debriefed?
well, debriefing is like after something happens.
Okay.
Like if I brief you on something, that means we about to walk into something.
We've briefed about it.
Yeah, there
That's
you
what
go.
I'm trying to say.
Like law.
So we know how to tackle it together.
There you go.
That is the only thing that can build confidence. I'm not going to go so far as to say that relationships cannot work if your views are just outrageously opposing. I'm not going to say it can't work, but there's a lot of fine tooth combing and extra work that has to be put in order for it to be healthy, firstly, effective, and successful overall.
Confidence comes from communication.
For sure.
And confidence comes from support.
For sure.
So even if we don't have the same fundamental beliefs,
We talked about it.
right? We talked about it. You support me. So if I'm in the Easter play,
Yeah.
you're gonna come and
You're
you're
gonna
gonna
come
watch.
see me in this bunny.
Right. And a
And
bunny
it's gonna be out
at a church?
it's gonna be all right.
That's a little
For
crazy.
2 hours. It's gonna be fine. Yeah. Baby
That's
Jesus
crazy.
is gonna be black and we gonna be all right. It's gonna be
And,
fine.
and a bunny.
And a bunny.
Okay.
At church.
At church? I don't know how I feel about that.
A bunny?
A bunny.
At church?
At
Why?
church. Yeah, that like kind of disturbs me a little bit.
Why? Because of the bunny? You got a phobia?
Like a big bunny?
You got a phobia?
Yeah,
You
that-
don't like clowns?
Oh heck no.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I'm just thinking about the bunny. Like I don't want the ultra conscious to come out right now. You know,
Please
just
no.
like the pagan history behind the
Please
bunny.
no.
I'm not gonna do that.
Please no.
That's right now.
Oh, we just want the kids to be able to. We just want the kids to be able to find their little eggs behind the
Little more
trees, and we go to the house.
you painted at
eat
grandma's
our
house with
candy.
food
Yes,
coloring?
that's it. That's it. That's all we want to do.
You know what though? People have pumpkin contests. Man, we need to have a boiled egg
I
painting
agree.
contest.
I agree with that. I'm all for that.
I would probably win that.
what?
I probably yeah.
Is this a challenge?
I'm nice with the boiled eggs.
Is this a? You hear this, Mike?
My grandma used to, bro, I was in control. I was like the kitchen manager.
Is this a challenge?
Shout out to Rosie Jones. Yo, I'm for real. I was nice with the boiled egg. The food coloring,
Yeah.
man, my eggs was fire.
Yeah. We'll see. T.
Everybody used to be like, yeah, this one the eggs Vince made.
Easter 2024. Y'all remember this episode?
We gonna have a contest?
We're gonna have a contest.
Easter egg contest?
Yes.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
Y'all remember this?
But it's short. Just a little takeaway here. I just want to leave you with this. When it comes to the idea of having confidence in your spouse, right? Mm-hmm. Leadership is important, but it's based on who the leader is submitting to. Me as a husband, if I'm submitting to the wrong source, then I subject my family to all sorts of foolishness, right? So then once my wife is like, man, this Negro is tripping, she's going to begin to try to assume that position.
Yes.
So now you got two people jockeying for a position.
Correct.
So now my children are confused.
Yes.
So now when my children buying the things that aren't necessarily acceptable in my home, I have nobody to do for but myself. Because the lack of confidence that my wife had in me because I submitted to the wrong source has now left them on an island of susceptibility, and now they're unable to function the way that God has created them to function. This was a good topic. I like this conversation.
This was good.
I'm about to bring this back season 3.
This was good. Last thing I want to plug is that it's very, first of all, regardless of who you are, your responsibility as a spouse, and I'm gonna say this word submit, but we ain't really got time to get into it. But your responsibility as a spouse is to submit. But that's why you have to, exactly, but that's why you have to be very careful about what head you picking. Who you picking as your leader? Be honest about,
and protect her.
You know what I'm saying? Be honest about whether or not this is a role that this person can really fill. Because
and don't be afraid to walk away.
That's how you went in the episode?
I'm talking about before you tie the knot.
Oh, I was about to say, dog. Let's get into it.
No. Like that's what I'm saying is like, don't be afraid to say, you know what? Because you're making a lifetime commitment, a covenant. You're reaching into a place designed by God, sustained by God, and fulfilled by God. And so you got to be very, very careful with who you decide to take that journey with.
Yep.
We appreciate y'all, man. Check out the other episodes. If you haven't binge watch season 1 so you can catch up.
Please run over and catch up. There's 3 on YouTube for season 1, and then all of them are available on the streaming platforms. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube,
what are you doing? Rate us, review us.
You hating.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. We love y'all.
All right.